There's been a lot of times in my life, in my business, in my music career, relationships where things went sideways, they seemed to go wrong, or just the doors didn't open or the doors closed. And I'm left wondering, like, what's going on, God? Like, why is this happening and not understanding it? And I want to read this Chinese parable that'll really give some perspective of while you're going through something that you don't understand and to maybe hold on. And what I like to say is no plan B, stick with it. So here's the story. There was a farmer who lived in a small village in China. One day his horse ran away. The villagers came by and said, "Ah, what bad luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe." A few months later, the farmer's horse returned, and he brought a herd of wild horses with him. The villagers came to congratulate the farmer. "Wow, what good luck." The farmer answered, "Well, maybe." Soon after, the farmer's son was trying to tame one of the wild horses, but he fell off and broke his leg. The villagers came to offer their sympathy. "What terrible luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe." Then a war broke out in the region, and the emperor's soldiers came to the village to recruit young men for the army. However, the farmer's son was exempt because of his broken leg. The villagers came by again and said, "What great luck." Again, the farmer responded, "Maybe." And that's where the story ends. And isn't that amazing? While we're going through something, it can feel so painful. We can be so frustrated, but maybe God is protecting you from something. Maybe that happened because it's setting you up for something better, right? And I love what Tony Robbins says is that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And the Bible says that every good and perfect gift is from above, right? And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who's been called according to his purposes. And it makes me think about this time where we almost signed a record deal with this label. But unfortunately, the showcase and everything fell apart and just stuff happened. And I talk about it in my book, Fighter, 5 Keys to Conquering Fear and Reaching Your Dreams. But at the time, I cried my eyes out. At the time, I ended up getting shingles because I was so stressed. But most of all, the deal fell apart. And if I had signed that record deal, it would have been a horrible deal. I probably would have signed away my publishing, my rights, and I might not have even be making music right now. I don't know. But all I know is it would have been a really bad deal. But thank God it didn't happen, and we ended up signing something better, and then that worked out. Now, after I got signed to this record deal, I remember we were trying to talk to this management company, and we really wanted to work with this management team and the artists that they had on it, and they rejected me, and they didn't sign me. And I remember I was so bummed, but little did I know, and my wife always says this, "Chris, you dodged a bullet. God helped you dodge a bullet," because had we signed with that management company, we found out that they weren't super ethical and they were stealing from the artists. And I think about all the artists that they're with don't even exist anymore, but I'm still here, right, doing music. And at the time, again, it was so frustrating and not understanding, like, why is this happening? But you got to remember, what seems like a setback is God setting you up for something bigger. But you've got to stay with that mentality of not giving up. We like to say around here, no plan B. You know what I mean? Stick with the plan. God will work it out. We also like to say a fighter isn't someone who never fails. A fighter is someone who never quits. You've fallen down, but you're not done as long as you get back up and go again. And it makes me think, I'm actually wearing the no plan B sweater right now, and we actually got these done. I'll put a link below this. This is the gray one, and it has this big no plan B on the back, but it's the idea of, like, I won't stop. I won't stop, and this is what faith looks like. That's what it also says. This is no plan B, won't stop. This is what faith looks like. And that is what faith is, not knowing the outcome, not knowing the future, but I'm going to stay in the game. I'm going to have faith that this is going to work out. I'm going to take action, even though I've fallen down, even though I'm not seeing the results. I'm going to stick with this because I know I'm called to it. And when you know your reasons why, you'll figure out the how. So I hope that encourages you today to keep going, even if you're in that messy middle right now, and just believe that God is setting things up for you. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. A fighter isn't someone who never fails, a fighter is someone who never quits. When you know that God's got a perfect plan, you don't need plan B. You can stick with plan A. I think it's Jeremiah 29:11 that says that God has a plan to give you a hope and a future and to prosper you. But you've got to believe that not just when it's working, but when it's not working and it feels like everything's falling apart. And I feel like that sometimes, but that's where I just stick with the plan, baby, and keep going forward.